Okay, a quick one on a new U.S. foreign policy endeavor, Greenland. Who would think? Well, actually, a lot of people. This is from this one here. If you look at the geopolitical significance, it's massive. This Arctic Circle, as you can see, it goes without saying, is absolutely amazing. As you'll read in the article, there is just a broad range of reasons why the United States would actually want this massive land. In fact, I actually worked for the Danish government when I lived in Nicaragua. And I used to talk to them and say, you're the biggest country in the world because you've got Greenland. Actually, that's not completely true. But if you look at the size of Greenland, it is just massive. When you look at Google Maps, you look at it, this is very, very important territory. Why? Well, first, the United States can expand both its military and nautical mileage significantly throughout the Arctic Circle. Moreover, even though it's supposed to be governed in kind of this cooperative way. Moreover, Russia has been kind of encroaching on the Arctic Circle. Norway wants the mineral wealth in the Arctic Circle. So everyone wants a piece of the Arctic Circle. It's not this kind of crazy thing to talk about. So when you read the article, and I'm going to have another supplemental one where it's literally an Arctic Research Center, you have US military capabilities, future trans-Arctic shipping, right? Resources, oil, gas, freshwater fisheries, etc. So you just look at that, and it is amazing. And now this is extremely important for U.S. foreign policy. Now we are no longer a unipolar world. We are a bipolar, multipolar world, meaning that we are being challenged from a US perspective from many different countries. Even if you look at it, right? Look at that. Norway has interests there. Scandinavian countries, obviously Denmark doesn't want to lose it. It is a self-governing state, but this is very, very important. So now Russia, other nations, China, are really interested in this area. Canada as well. I mean, let's make Canada the 51st state as Trump. So from a multipolar perspective, the United States wants to take over this area in order to get a foothold, in order to balance the other powers that are kind of encroaching on it. So is Trump crazy? Well, that depends on with whom you speak, but I'm going to stress a few things before we leave. Number one, can you just take over Greenland? Absolutely not. I've never heard anything like that. If he did try to militarily take it, that would be akin to taking over the Ukraine. Obviously, it would be different. You don't have the habitat, the massive amount of population, etc. But I want to ask you, do you think the United States of America will take over Greenland? Do you think they would do it through military might? Or is this just, playing games, Trump being Trump? What about a vote of the Greenland people to leave Denmark, which many do want to be an independent nation, but then do they want to be the 51st state of the United States? Trump, of course, with his hyperbole says, oh, of course they do. Trump is an interesting character, and let me get into this. When people don't do what he wants to do, he just uses force. So recently in Colombia, Petro, the president of Colombia, didn't allow military planes to land because they had Colombian migrants, and he said you were treating the migrants badly. You had them handcuffed, terrible conditions, no water, etc. He said he would take the migrants, that is Colombia, which is way down here. Oh, we can't even see. Well, let's move from here to Colombia. And here we go, Colombia. So, which I've spent a lot of time in. And Petro said, we're not going to accept them. We will accept them on regular flights, treated as human beings, not handcuffed, etc. So now Trump is saying, we're slapping tariffs on you. You can't come to this country. We're going to put basically different levels of punishment on your country. like certain officials now can't come. The United States is a very powerful country. So the question is, did Petro, even if you agree with him, I don't think we should just send migrants like they're criminals. Should we just, send them back in regular planes, etc., not handcuffed, etc. But regardless of whether you agree with Petro or not, was it a smart move? And now Trump is using a huge, just amount of punishments at his disposal, which is punishments, right? Not encouragement, but punishments. And is that the way U.S. foreign policy will work? If you don't do what we say, we'll just level tariffs. We will put up barriers to your products. Remember, you can use both tariffs and quotas. But remember, Colombia does have a hand to play. It is the number one partner in Latin America with the United States. And it has a broad just spectrum of military bases, which are beneficial, advantageous to the United States. So Yamada said, if you want of Honduras, if you want to kick out all our migrants, then we're going to kick out your bases. So do these smaller countries have space to challenge Trumpism, which is kind of interesting? We went from Greenland, from Colombia. So it is an interesting new world in U.S. foreign policy. Is this the way to go through punishment or encouragement? It is going to hurt our soft power, but do you even care? That becomes the issue. What should our policies be? I think what Trump is doing, right? I won't give my opinion. I was going to say I think, but is it advantageous to the United States to be because sooner or later countries begin to balance you. So if a bunch of these countries get together and say, okay, we're going to have punitive measures against you as well, but will it matter? Is the United States so powerful? And then you go back to Greenland. Is this the way? Like Willie starts saying, we're going to put sanctions on Denmark. We're going to put, because he did sanction some Colombian figures. We're going to, put tariffs, quotas on their products, etc. Are threats to a certain degree advantageous to the United States, but to what extent? And that becomes the question. When do they continually work, but when do they falter? Because Mexico, I don't remember Mexico paying for that wall. But will the United States invade Greenland? See, all of this is very interesting from a U.S. foreign policy perspective. So take it seriously, everyone. I respect everyone's opinion. Please have a little debate in the discussion board. Take care, everyone.